David Schnurman.
Thank you all. Thank you, Verne. Thank you, Mark. When I am passionate about something, when something has an impact on me, on my business, I want to share it with the world. And what better place to do it with a group of like-minded individuals who already believe in the concepts that we're talking about. So I'm really pumped to share our story. Working with Mark, as he said, the last 11 months have been an absolute transformation for our business. I just want to give everyone a background of who we are. Lawline is the largest provider of online continuing legal education. As Verne was saying early on, continuing education also for lawyers is very important. And we have 2.5 million courses completed over the past 8 years. 120,000 attorneys use us worldwide. And we have about 1,000 courses online. And this is all done with a team of about 20 people in our New York City office. So about 1.5 years ago, I read Scaling Up, and I looked at the book, and I said, oh my God, there's such opportunity here. I saw so many things that we were doing wrong, and so many things that we can improve on. And just like the cover of the book says, it is the most dense book I've ever read with business information. So what I decided to do, when you're learning a new language, you need to have a teacher take you through that. So I decided to find the best coach that fit our needs at that time, and we found Mark. And when you're learning a new language, you want to do it with a group of people, a group of students that you can practice with. And what was so great about working with Mark and Gazelles through Scaling Up, we got to do this with our leadership team, not just the CEO. So we got to learn the new vocabulary to work us through all the concepts to get us to where we needed to be. We are a really good company that is a leader in online education. We've been around 8 years, but as you all know, most entrepreneurship growth paths don't go like this. They're in waves, and there's a reason for that. And about 12 months ago when we met Mark, we were sort of on a lower trend. You get the 8-year itch. As an organization, our direction was a little rudderless. The morale was low, and we were trying to figure out how to move forward over the next 8 years. And so working with Mark, we were able to turn a rudderless organization into one with clear focus, clear direction. We had 3 years of stagnant growth. Last year was our highest revenue year we've had. This year we're forecasting 10% growth based on that. And I will leave with the morale being very high with 3 words: participation, transparency, and community. I wouldn't admit it then, but the truth is, 11 months ago, I was very unhappy. I was actually really stressed out. And it became very clear why. We had our first offsite meeting with Mark, and I don't know who's done offsite meetings so far, but if you haven't, they're very intense. The first exercise we did was a trust exercise with the leadership team. Our average score out of 10 was 3. We did an accountability exercise where you do the accountability for the functions of an organization. We had about 3 to 4 people accountable for each function. As those of you who know, if more than one person's accountable, nobody's accountable. Then we did planning for the 3-year thrusts, annual initiatives, and quarterly priorities. We have never, in the 8 years that I've been CEO, done any type of planning like that. Actually, I don't even know what kind of planning we did before that, because it certainly wasn't planning. But that's when I knew why we were stuck. Day 2, we started going over our core values and our core purpose, and I got so energized, and I knew we were on the right path. Our symptom was drama. Where does drama come from? Ultimately, drama comes from a lack of trust in the organization. And this is somewhere where Mark really leaned on me very, very hard, because this is the toughest part, the people part. And he said, in order to grow as an organization, the best CEOs that I've seen being able to grow make the tough decisions around people. And there is a lack of trust throughout the organization, but more specifically on the management team, as I said, and more specifically with me and my COO. So what we did was, instead of just saying, I don't like you, or you're not the right fit, we came up with 4 things from Scaling Up that helped us figure out how to put the right people in the right seats and get rid of drama. Number 1, core values. We created core values to have conversations when people were not following them. And we used those conversations, and if we constantly have the same conversations, one of ours is care. If you're violating care on a regular basis, maybe you're not the right fit for the organization anymore. Then we created job scorecards. We used the job scorecards to see the outcomes of the positions and take away the name of the person and see, does this outcome fit the right person in the right seat? Specifically with my COO, what he was hired for 2 years before no longer fit the outcomes for the position. And as we both reviewed that, we realized he was no longer the right fit for the organization. And that was a mutual decision. The third thing we did was the quarterly priorities, where we were able to hold employees accountable and use that to figure out if they're the right person in the right seat. And the fourth thing that we did was the core purpose. And we used that to figure out which decisions we're going to make. This also allowed us to hire some really talented people over the past 11 months using these four things and top grading. But just as importantly, and this was really unbelievable for me, there was 2 positions that we were hiring for that we couldn't find somebody who fit all these criteria. And so what did we do? We put it on pause. 3 months later, we looked back and said, you know what? Those positions that we were looking for, actually, they weren't the right positions. I mean, as an entrepreneur, that was unbelievable because in the past, we would have hired both of those positions because we had qualified candidates, and 6 months later, we would have been like, whoops. And so we didn't have to do that. We slowed down. So we were able to get the right people in the right seats. So the next thing you have to do when you get the right people in the right seats, you have to have real communication. You can't do that if the wrong person's in the room because you've all been in that meeting where that person's not paying attention and not interested, and it kills the whole meeting. And when I met Mark, I said, Mark, the one thing I want to do, the one thing that if you can do, it's worth the price of admission, is daily huddles. 7 years ago, I read Rockefeller Habits. I tried implementing it on my own. Didn't really work. I said, you know what? It's probably not going to work with our organization, our industry. It's just not for us, but let's give it a go. And so what Mark did was so simple yet so brilliant. He made the leadership team do it first. And I don't mean for a day. I don't mean for a week. We had to do it for 3 months before we were able to bring it out to the team. And by the way, that's a theme that he had ongoing. He made us do core values first. He made us do quarterly priorities first. And I don't know who here has ever read a book and goes back to their organization and tries to do 6 things at once and everybody's overwhelmed and it fails. Well, I'm that person, and having a coach helped us as a leadership team slow down. So we did daily huddles, and they worked. We were able to get everyone in a room similar to the team of teams. 20 people is different than 7,500, but it certainly worked. The other thing that we did was we had 1-hour weekly meetings with the organization, and these were more in depth. And one of the challenges we had when there was a lack of trust is a lack of communication between departments. And these weekly meetings allowed us to go through metrics and priorities and challenges. And I want to share with you one specific example of what having the right people in the right seats and having the right communication and execution can do. When Mark came to us 11 months ago, I said, Mark, there's one project that you really need to do for us. We really need to do. I don't know who's had a technology project that's a never-ending technology project. Well, we did. And it was the most important project of our company because it was rebuilding the site and the infrastructure from the ground up. And so Mark said, okay, we'll tackle that. 3 months into that, our lead developer decided, for personal reasons, he needed to leave the company, but wanted to stay to the end till this project was launched. So what did? We put the right people in the right seats. We had 2 people from the leadership team, one take recruiting, one take the priorities. We started tackling that. Each quarter, we went over different priorities, and we got rid of a lot of unnecessary stuff so we can get this project done, which ended up this past quarter as our rock, where the entire company went from a one-person project to a 20-person project. And on May 1st, we launched our new site, which has had a fabulous reception from our customers, our faculty, and our staff. And it's really going to help the success for the next 5 to 10 years of our business. Before I conclude, I just want to share a conversation I had with Mark. And I said, Mark, I'm going to go up there, but what if people don't believe? And then as I was talking to my staff, preparing for this presentation, I said, you know what? I'm not up here to make people believe. But what I will do is share 3 quotes from conversations with my staff before this meeting in terms of figuring out how we got all the tools from the new language, from all the things that we just discussed, how it went from scaling up to coach to leadership team this team and how it was coming out and what they said. And I think I went on to sum it up with 3 words. The first word is transparency. We have kept unrelated matters out of meetings and are transparent about everything. The second word is community. The interplay between departments means that no one has tunnel vision where their work is concerned. No department or person is isolated. And the last word is participation. I love that we have very open communication. I really enjoy having one-on-one meetings in particular, and the general atmosphere of being able to go to anyone for any question or concern without worrying about the person's title or rank. I can tell you without a doubt, 11 months earlier, these quotes did not exist. Before I end, I just want to thank everyone for the opportunity to share. On behalf of myself and the team at Lawline, we really love this community and look forward to supporting it in the future. Thank you very much.